Okay, we'll start off with the news. So for Thursday, July 25th, right now, current news on the Euro-Spanish unemployment. For medium impact, and then for high impact, we have for the Euro as well, German business climate, and then more medium for the M3 money supply, and then for the pound, preliminary GDP, and then for the dollar, core durable goods orders and unemployment claims to be announced later on at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then low impact for the rest of the time with durable goods orders for the dollar and Treasury Secretary Liu speaking, and for the yen, Tokyo core CPI, and for the dollar for Friday is only news on Fridays. Also medium impact revised consumer sentiment, and then nothing for the weekend. Sunday's retail sales, but that's for next week. And that's it for the news. Okay, markets are currently bearish on the American and Asian side, and then Europe's are bullish markets right now. And that's for stock futures. Let's take a look at the dollar index. Okay, I'll go over the weekly real quick, and then we'll go over the daily. So overall, buyers are in control. On the long-term and short-term, sellers are in control right now. Looks like retracement to the downside, and establishing, let's see, a new level of demand probably around this area here to here within our range. And if it wants to break out down there to test that low, then that would be it. But overall trends up. And so here are our supply levels here. And so basically retesting this level and then continuation up to the upside is probable with the overall buyers in control. And it's a bullish trend. And then so this level here between 84.49 and 84.75 is the price to beat. And then continuing on to the upside, I believe, is highly probable on the weekly based on the overall movement. So that's for the weekly. And then the daily, much of the same here on the daily. Overall buyers in control here. Here's our level of demand here, and it's our short-term level of supply here on the immediate side here. So bears currently in control of the current candle, and it's currently in the range between 81.92 and 82.40. So basically, here's our pivot here. So continuation up to the upside, it's creating a higher high. It's probable in time. It will take a little while to get there, though. It's got to break through these levels here between, let's see, 83.02, and then next level to beat is 83.45, and then the highest price to beat will have to be here at 84.75 right here, and basically within that range that I pointed out on the daily or on the weekly at 84.49 to 84.75. So I'm bullish on the dollar right now, given its current movement and its stabilization right here to continue on up, and based on this pivot here. And so for current pairs potential, I guess I can go with the Aussie yen. I was actually attempted to get into this trade on a short overnight to 2-day swing trade to the downside on this. And basically I got kicked out of the trade. And so if I was to re-enter that, still re-enter here at, I'm going to go just look at the daily. I'll do that on a daily. But here, buyers overall in control here. So, of the long term, and then short term here is sellers are currently in control. And that's in this range right here when I say buyers are in control, but the overall trend is down based on this trend line here. This is my major trend line here for the secondary, or for primary, excuse me, and here's my primary uptrend line, and currently testing the secondary and tertiary trend line to the upside right now, and broke out of the secondary downtrend line. So continuation up to test here. Highly probable. Let's see, I don't know what's. Let's see the low here. So the low here is 89.68 and 89.73. So this is definitely higher than that. So currently buyers trying to gain control of price again, and they did up past this trend line here. So sellers currently in control of the current bar. So for the week, with Thursday and Friday left, still anything could happen, but currently sellers are in control. So continuation to test this at least before continuing back up is probable. Obviously price is being supported right here where I have this range, so I believe that price will not break through here. It will test this levels and then come back up on the long term on the daily, or on the weekly, excuse me. So basically on this, on the daily, same thing, price continuing to test the primary uptrend right here, and so I tried to enter here to go short here. Still pretty short on here to come down here and test this level here at about the 90.56 level here before continuing back up to the upside. If it wants to, again, buyers are overall in control, so it could just retest the 38% here and then continue up, whatever it wants to do. It did form a pivot here with the higher high and then lower high right now, as of right now. Still half a day to go before this candle's done forming, but I believe that the potential for it to close down below with this higher, lower than this high is probable based on the strength of the bearish candles here. For the very short term, I'm bearish on this pair, and then for the long term, of course, I would be bullish. So to look at entry points here, best entry would have been up here, and so if you didn't make that now, it's had a chance to move to the downside pretty significantly. Another price to buy in here would be the next cheapest level here would be at 91.707, or even if you wanted to wait a little bit at 91.80 around that level. So that's for entry. And then for method 2, there's nothing on method 2. Close to being overbought, but not quite yet, and then no candle arrangement there. Let's check the 4 hour. 4 hours actually oversold, and nothing yet with this current candle. No setups for the 4 hour. And for the 1 hour, pretty flat right now. Close to oversold, but not quite, below the 20. So nothing for method 2. And method 3, we have one candle that could potentially close down below the 10 and the 8. If that can close down below there, then that's our first candle in, and then we need one more to close below the 10 and 8, and we have a signal to go short. That's on the daily. We'll wait for another day and a half for that, and then so for the 4 hour. Let's see, so 4 hour here would be your entry right here based off of the 4 hour chart. But there is a big gap here, so and then it's kind of price is taken off, so a little late to get in on that. And then on the 1 hour, no setups for the 1 hour. And so this would be your entry right here on this candle to go short. So nothing there, but that's for the Aussie yen. Does anybody have any questions?
So no, nothing. All right, and your turn. Let's see what you've got.
Okay, I'll analyze the pound dollar. Okay, so we'll start off with the macro fundamentals of things first. Okay, so with the news today, at about a couple hours time, pound is the prelim GDP that will happen. So that's a big major news. Another minor one for the index of services. And then US at about 10:30 my time, core durable goods and unemployment claims. So they'll be the market movers today with the pound against the US dollar. Then later on, nothing much at all, just minor news as well. So the major ones will be with the pound will be at the prelim, so we'll have to wait and see what the result would be. The forecast is about 0.6, So against the previews of 0.3. So if it's lower than the forecast, then it could drop or it could continue to the upside. So we'll have a look at that. DXY. Okay, the dollar index yesterday, what happened is it created a new higher low, higher high as well within this candle right here. So buyers were in control yesterday. Sellers are back in today for a bit of a correction before it may even continue to the upside. On the weekly, as we can see it, it's still on an uptrend. Still creating higher lows, higher highs. If we draw our trend lines, oops, that's wrong. Sorry. It's not behaving well today. Okay. Okay, so that will be our, just clean up the primary a little bit, sorry. Okay, so that's our primary, secondary. So as you can see here, sales are still pretty much in control. If it wants to next week, it may still break this demand level right here and touch the secondary uptrend line just to follow that. But on the daily, there's still no indication of a pivot to the upside. So it's still more probably continuation to the downside since sellers are still pretty much in control. On the daily, sellers yesterday, buyers yesterday, but sellers are back in. So there could be more continuation to the downside, but depending on the reports in the U.S. today. If not, since we see a higher low right here with a higher high as well, there may also be a continuation to the upside to correct itself before it may even just go further down as well. But overall, as we can see it here, sellers are pretty much in control, still creating lower highs and also lower lows here. Needs to beat this high right here for this to continue to the upside. So my forecast is there could be some more correction, a little bit of correction to the upside unless it breaks the 82.60 or even breaks this high right here at 83, then it will go to the upside. But if not, slight correction and then continuation to the downside, break the 82 price area and then further drop to at least the 81.40 or 81.20 price area, or even this lows right here at about 80.60 if it wants to. Okay, so that's the DXY. Okay, futures. Take a look at the futures. Futures, let's refresh this, see what it's doing. Still early during the day, but there's a small drop there on the Dow showing at the moment minus 20. The Asian market today closing in a few minutes time. The Nikkei dropped over 1%. Hang Seng not much. S&P 5 ASX 200 it's actually up by 0.01%. So still above the 5,000, which is great. So something happening there. And in the European zone, Euros is a small drop there at the moment. The FTSE minus 6, so nothing there much at the moment. So they're waiting for that report. Okay, let's look at the Dow. The Dow, so you can see it right here, is at a good level. It's blue sky territory at the moment. So the high is at above the 15,600. And currently it's just correcting itself, doing some form of stabilization. Sellers in control at the moment, so there could be some form of stabilization, correction, and then continuation to the upside if it wants to. And if it breaks this tertiary uptrend line right here that we can see it, then it may correct itself further down to at least the 15.3 around these areas right here before it may continue to the upside. So correction happening here at the moment. But if not, it may even just continue to the upside as well. Okay, let's look at the pound against the dollar. The pound against the dollar based on the weekly, very strong. Buyers are in control, higher lows, higher highs within this range at the moment. But the overall trend at the moment is still on a downtrend. This low here is still lower compared to that low. No pivot point here yet, so there may still some room for this to go to the upside to around about the 155.60 price area. However, if it breaks this downtrend line right here and breaks this high, then there could be some more continuation to the upside as well. But for now, buyers in control on the weekly, on the daily. Okay, what we can see here is some form of a correction, stabilized this on this candle correction, and there may be some more continuation to the upside if it wants to. It has to break this high right here of this doji candle here for this to continue. If not, it may even correct and go further down depending on that news. Major news later on the pound. But overall, as we can see it here, buyers are in control, creating higher lows and higher highs with a small correction right here. But if it doesn't want to break itself, then it may even correct further to the downside and continue down, which means that the trend may be continuing to the downside as well. So we'll see what happens later on. It's at a good demand level at the moment. Around here on the 153, so we'll see what goes on. So I'm not going to trade that at the moment for the short, even if we can see that there's a pivot to the downside. Let's look at the lower time frames. 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart right here. The highs are lower, lows are lower as well. So it did a small correction here. Nice pivot right here now to the upside. Buyers now in control to the upside as well. 4-hour chart, 1-hour chart. 1-hour chart, clear indication that buyers are very much in control at the moment and still pushing to the upside. M2 on the daily chart. M2 on the daily chart, there's actually a trigger right here. Let's see. No, it's not. If we do our calculation, I actually did my calculation on this, and it's a couple pips off the close of this candle right here. So we don't have a setup for a short position at the moment. So there's nothing there on the 4-hour chart. Nothing on the 1-hour chart. Overbought, but also no setup. M3 on the daily. M3 on the daily, the trigger was this candle right here. Gave us another opportunity on this candle here. So that could be just a correction just to go closer to the 8 and the 10. And now it's still to the upside at the moment. On the 4-hour chart, it was long. Close was this candle right here. First candle above the 8 and the 10, so we need another candle to the upside. So no setup yet. 1-hour chart. Entry was this candle here, and still more room, still no indication to close, but still more to the upside as well. Any questions with the pound against the dollar?
Okay, now no questions.
No questions.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go through and have a look at the euro against the dollar, since there's a report coming in about a few minutes time. See what you can come up with it. All right.
Do you want me to have a look at it, or?
I'm sorry. Sorry to everyone in the room. Hello, hello, hello. Let's go through and have a look at the euro against the dollar, and then because there's a report coming in about 40 minutes, and then we're going to talk about this, discuss it, and what you guys are going to do. Go long, short, or do nothing. Okay, I will mute myself, and you guys have a look. Okay, ready and go.
Cool.
Okay, hi Andres, hi Angie. So Andres, welcome to the class. So pretty much what we're doing at the moment is simply, oops, should be able to see. Depending on the nights that we do have, we really look at different things from a method 1 perspective all the way to method 3, and also giving students the opportunity to have a look and basically analyze potential trades, and also for me to see where they're at with their knowledge and skill. And there are certain nights that, say for example last night, that we trade based on the good news, or depending on news, and they would use price action to trade with it, see if we could make money and stuff. So yeah, enjoy the class. If you have any questions, let me know. As for Angie, if you have any questions, let me know. All right, I'm going to mute myself. So Jason, looks like your friend John is having a good time with his new screen. Where is he?
Yeah, I thought he was going to use it for trading, not playing video games.
Yeah, I reckon. All right, let's get a start from you, Jason. I'll pass the presentation to you. Let's see what you've got. What do you think you will do?
Okay, so based off the weekly, and I'm looking at the dollar index too, and currently the bears are in control, but also on the Dow is also kind of down. It's taking a downturn right here as well. So it's, from what I see, is out of whack right now. So everything's kind of convergent right now instead of doing its normal behavior. So looking
All
at
right. Since we have half an hour remaining, is the weekly really necessary for us to have a look?
well, it depends on your attention. If we're just going to go look at the daily and intraday charts, then no.
Yeah, because so the goal mainly is to prepare something that when midnight comes along for the news, what would you like to do? So if you just want, if we want to practice basically what we did last night, right? If you're gonna
Okay.
prepare, which one will you be looking at?
Right. So the daily, we'll look at the daily first then. Just the greater time frame. So it's in a level of supply right now, and it's stabilizing itself currently. So with this bearish candle, there's some indecision here, and then this candle here as well. It's real doji-like in nature, so it's leading me to believe that we are in a level of supply right now in the daily, even though overall bulls are in control. So to the 4 hour.
Okay, let's go back to the daily chart. Who here believes that it's in a level of supply?
Just me, I guess.
And what do you think?
Level supply, if you're looking at the overall picture, but if you're looking at the last 3 candles, it's in the level of demand.
Even if you look at the overall picture, are we in a level of supply?
Supply.
Let's involve Angie and Andres. What would you say? So, Angie, let's see. Are you a level of demand or supply?
I think it's in a. It's just consolidating. It's just indecision at the moment. It's in the middle of that candle thing.
Okay, so is the price in a level of demand or supply?
It's on equilibrium.
Equilibrium?
It's
Okay.
not. It's not on both sides.
Alright, no worries. Okay, thanks. Right, Andres, we'll give you a shot. Is the price level of demand or supply?
To be quite honest, I'm not too familiar with supply or demand.
Okay,
I
no
think
problem.
yeah, it's to be quite honest, I was used to using Bollinger Bands, MACDs, CCIs, and some other stuff, and reading Dolgy's, Polish, engulfing, all that stuff at a completely different level than what you guys are doing. So I'm learning as I go here. I apologize for it.
No problem. It's good because this is the whole point of a live trading environment. Okay. Why? Let's go back with you, Jason. Why do you say it's a level of supply?
Because there's stabilization right here. So you had basically like a law 2 right here, and then now it's law 1, right? And then so the next order of movement would be law 3 to come back down, even though it might not come back down that hard, because overall bulls are in control, right, of this trend, and so continuation up to the upside. But look at these highs here. So we have a higher high, and then now there's a lower high as well, even though this candle hasn't formed yet. But as of right now, that's what it is.
Okay, magnify your chart. Where was the last high of the trend?
It would be this one.
Okay. What is that high?
It's a higher high.
Correct. So who resists the price point? Buyers or sellers?
The sellers are resisting this price.
So institutional or retail?
Institution.
Okay, institutional at what price was that high of the last high?
It was 132.
So if you go to the actual bar itself to be objective,
So the high was 132.05.
132.05. Where is the price at the moment? Below or above it?
It's up. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's above it.
So if it's above a certain price point, will that be a demand or supply?
If it's above a certain price point, it would be supply.
If the price is below that price point, will that be a demand or supply?
Then that would be a demand if it's below the price point.
I think you're confused, right? What is supply?
When there's more sellers than buyers.
More sellers than buyers. What is demand?
There's more buyers than sellers.
Okay, so when there's more buyers than sellers, where are how can a price go up at a certain price? So in other words, a price has to be supported by a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So if that 132.05 is currently being broken by buyers, are you still at a supply, or are you going to be at demand or supply?
If it was broken, then we would be at demand then,
Bingo.
because it's being supported, right? It's being supported at that level right here.
Yeah, because the last price point, 132.05, which is the last high, was your supply, because no one's willing to buy. A big seller resisted the price right there. So in other words, sellers are resisting the price of 132.05. So if a lot of sellers are resisting the price and no one's buying, then automatically the price will drop. But what's happening with the price at the moment? Is it below or above it?
It's above it right now.
It's above it at the moment, right? So your supply becomes a demand. So within that price, within that point, how do we know it's a level demand? How do we know specifically that it's in a level demand, that buyers are supporting the price?
Because it's higher than the previous high.
Yes, but how do we really know that buyers are really supporting that price?
Because it doesn't want to break down below its support levels.
Yeah, but how do we know that? What else can we do in order to dictate, to see that the price is at a level of demand?
Go to the lower time frame.
Bingo. Okay, then have a look.
So here's the 4-hour. So yeah, overall trend is definitely bullish, clear uptrend. And so here's our levels here. Here's our level of demand right here. Draw.
All right.
Here.
Where was the 132.05 something?
Sorry. This price. 132.05.
Yeah. I highly recommend, always use the same tab so you will be able to see clearly. All right, there it is. So what's happening with the actual low, based on a 4-hour chart and based on the current bar?
It's being supported by that level. On that level, I mean.
Who supported that low?
The institutions did.
So the institutional buyer who supported that price point. So are we the level of demand or supply?
Demand right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
What I was looking at was just because I drew this, I drew the demand level or the supply levels here, and so of course it was testing it based off of this high.
But
so I wasn't looking at.
Before a supply will be broken, there has to be a demand at one point, right? And this is now where you stated earlier. It all depends on the intent of the trade. So if we have, say now we have 20 minutes before the report's going to come out. If you said to yours a level supply and you're selling at a level and you're selling that at a level demand, what do you think is going to happen with your stop?
It's going to be, I'll be stopped out of the trade.
Easy, right? So this is what's currently happening with the rest of your trades, is that you confuse your demand, supply, or not being meticulous by going through, is it really demand or supply? Hence, right? And then you're looking into that and you put your stop and bam, out of nowhere you're against the tide. So just because the previous bar says that the bears are in control, reach the level of supply, but at the end of the day, who is currently in control, the bulls or the bears?
Bulls are.
Yeah, the bulls are in control, right? So and now you go to the 1-hour chart. If the price is a level demand and you're going to create a plan to trade this really, really quickly, say within the news, to get a momentum part of it, right? So you can see there that it reached a demand when 132.05. They tested, didn't want to go, and then if you want to really trade it, so like say that, but if you see something like that, don't touch it, because that price is a very objective number, right? So every pip counts. Even a 0.0001 of a pip makes a big difference objectively. So at this point in time, it's creating a new higher high, next one higher low. The next part of the series, thing, the span should be a higher high. Okay. Now, 30, then we go down to the 30 minutes. If you go quickly to 30 minutes, please. So you'll see very clearly that since 1600 hours all the way to where we're at today, you're in an uptrend, creating new highs, right? And it's currently there's some form of activity. What's happening, 20 minutes prior to the news. Okay, so we have there 132.05. See how the price does every time it reaches over there, it rebounds to the upside. It broke through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or actually 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars ago. So technically speaking, now it retraces, creating a new higher low. Then the next part of the series should be a new higher high. Okay, 30 to 10. Can you make 10 pips to the upside? So from there, from the level of demand, then you need to find now your supply area. Where will you put your supply in looking at 30-minute chart?
Right here.
Okay, where else?
Could be right here too.
Um,
Testing that level.
okay, where else?
Here is higher. Right here. Let's see. So like they stop it here.
Okay, the price at 32.11 at the moment. But if you're buying, press on the ask for me, please.
Oh yeah.
32.13. Then you're gonna sell it, say 32.18. 5 pips. Would you be able to make 5 pips in the next 30 minutes?
I hope so.
Now, that's a dangerous thing. If you say you hope so, then there's that 50-50 chance, right? There's a self-doubt.
Oh, well, when I say that, I mean like kind of jokingly, like I think it'd be easy to make 5 pips in 30 minutes.
Okay, but in terms of probability, what would be the probability for you to make 5 pips at least?
99.99%.
Okay. What's the probability it could break that supply level?
I'd say about 80%.
80%. Okay. Now you have another 6 minutes. Can the price come back down all the way to 32.05?
Yes.
Okay. So how do we can tell whether if the price can come back down to 32.05?
3205, right. Wait a minute, where is it? 205 is, yeah, so right about here. It's within this range right here, right? So go to this even smaller time frame.
Yeah, the reason why I said 32.05, where did I get the 32.05 number?
Oh, that was on the prior high from the daily.
Exactly. So the high of the daily, right? All right. So if to go to a smaller time frame to see how's the weakness or the strength of the price. So notice how, based on the 15-minute chart, the bulls are still currently in control. So definitely there's a probability that you can win to head back up, right? If you go to the 5-minute chart even, you'll also probably see a different scenario. Yeah, we have a lower low, higher low. Okay, now bingo. So there it is, right? So it's currently creating now that impulse 15 minutes prior to the news. They will take you to make an 8 pips. So if we did press the trigger a few minutes ago, then you will currently be in the green to get your probability of 32.18. Actually, 30 price already 32.18. Sorry, 32. That's then 32.16 on the bid. 2 more pips and pretty much you're done, right? So it's just to know, like to demonstrate through the actually, if you notice as well, the size of the bar is totally different compared to 20-30 minutes ago, even an hour ago, right? See how it's minuscule in terms of the size, then out of nowhere, bam, there's a lot of impulsion. So that means there's a lot of activity prior to the news. They know something's bound to happen. Okay, if you're going short, are you going against the tide?
Yes.
Right, bingo. So in other words, if you're within the tide, it's an uptrend. You can see clearly it's an uptrend. In reaching a level of supply, it is better to wait for the price to come back down to the level of demand, but you really need to define whether a demand or supply. So that's part of being meticulous, right? To identify where is the actual price. Is the price in the demand or supply? And so, because if you're confusing, like it's not very subjective. If you're saying it's in the level of supply, but in actual fact the price is a demand, then now you're putting your personal opinion to the marketplace. This is where you're going to lose, 100% guaranteed, right? So in other words, the price, if you look into that, the market is giving you to execute from 32.05 all the way to 32.20, 32.21. But that's the only amount of money you can make so far, unless they decide to break the 32.18, 32.20 to go to 32.30 all the way to the upside. So it'll actually be interesting what's going to happen in the next 10, 12 minutes. Cool. All right, so Andres, what you can see here is actually part of what we call the Method 1 methodology, where we're not looking at any type of indicators. We're just looking based on price action, because all indicators are all lagging indicators. So even with the Method 2, Method 3 that we currently do have, at the end of the day, those are all lagging, but we trade based on price, not based on indicators. Hence, the 2 methodologies, 2 and 3, are based... I'm sorry?
Even FIBOs? You don't do Fibonacci retracements?
We do Fibonacci's, but they're just part for us is to look at potential entries, part of the fibs, and target points.
Not resistance?
Yeah. Resistance for us is supply. Demand for us is support, because that's the actual real definition at a professional level. Rookie, no offense, for rookie and novice traders, people who use support and resistance, they don't fully understand what it means about a support or resistance. A support is simply, the main definition of a support is when buyers are supporting a particular price point. And that support on that particular price point is an institutionalized price point being set by institutions, which creates a demand area where institutions buy. So likewise, vice versa to your resistance level. Resistance level is simply sellers are resisting a certain price where there's not enough buyers and there's going to be a lot of sellers to the upside. When that happens and there's not enough demand, then the price will drop. So we identify price points at a wholesale level, either a buying area or a selling area. But yeah, so it's this type of trading is it's a very basic trading environment, but it's also very complex because there are a lot of things that we need to look for, especially, you know, at the end of the day, we're not in the trading pit where you cannot see order flow. So we're just seeing a two-dimensional chart. But the key here is what's happening behind the scenes, part of the engine. So what causes price to go up or down. And we don't trade based on indicators, because an indicator is calculated by price through either the closing price, the high price, or low price, but in most cases the closing price. So yeah, the night classes sometimes, because the majority of the students are elite, So their job is to identify these type of things and to be intricate and to be meticulous in the way how they need to analyze the markets. So with the lowest risk, highest probability. Cool. Any questions with that for in regards with Jason's analysis? Going once,
No questions.
twice, nothing. All right, excellent. Okay, so we'll wait for the next 8 minutes. So I'll pass the presentation back to myself. All right, you can see here, you should be able to see 4 different types of screens. Now this is prior to happening like 8 minutes. So in 30 minutes, currently, it's very bullish, higher high, higher low. So in other words, that if the report comes and we're seeing this type where the bulls are currently dictating at the moment, the probability of the price to head back to 3240 is actually more highly probable. See here within the 1 minute chart, they're stalling. Currently, they're just waiting for that report. No one's willing to buy, no one's willing to sell. So in the open cry in the marketplace, if we're talking in the stock market, open cry means that the bids or the buyers and the sellers are trying to open up a certain price. So hence at the very beginning the spread will be too big until the specialist will actually say, okay, who's willing to buy at this particular price, who's willing to sell at this particular price. And once a price has been settled, then boom, this is where the volatility or price action actually happens. So here we can see here no one's willing to buy when he's not willing to sell. So they're waiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5 minutes. They're waiting for something. So institutions who are currently looking for the news at the moment, nobody knows what the actual report is going to be. But for sure, based on insider information, someone actually would know even before the report will happen. So now, if we see based on the 1 minute chart, yeah, it looks big or massive. But if you're looking in a bigger scale perspective, it is nothing compared to that, right? So they're trying to correct itself. The question is really a higher high, 32.16, 32.16.5, 32.16.3. So it's not. So that high is lower compared to that. And the question is, can they break through this price point? Then if that will break or below that price point, then the price will continue to drop all the way back down 32.04 on a smaller scale. And the reason for it is because if you look on the 1 hour chart, when there's a lot of minuscule, lot of spinning tops, and also you have doji, you have a pretty much hanging man right there, lower low, lower high. Then at one particular point in time, they need to retest on this point, and hence also we actually have a new pivoting point from this level here. And so in other words, since it's forming a downtrend based on the 1 hour, lower lows, lower highs, and then you have a lower over here, this is where the maximum probably that you can just make money on is around at 32.18, 32.20, and then either it will fail to the downside, or if not, if they will push it to the upside, then this will break through to create a new higher high somewhere, sometime in the next few hours. So it all depends on what the market will do, right? So we've got another 5 minutes. In actual fact, based on that 1 minute, bam. Okay, let's go through. We can have a look at the 5 minutes. 3 minutes, 53 seconds. So we're just trying to stabilize itself. Lower highs, lower lows. So if we're just going to look at this perspective where they're waiting, that's from that high is this high right here. That high is within that high over here. So they have to wait. So we're seeing a bunch of lower highs. Then regardless of whatever the market will say, this is going to fail. That's if we're seeing a bunch of lower highs. But on the other hand, we also see a series of higher lows. So they have to retest a certain price. Oops. That if they're trying to push the price down, they need to retest over at 3207, which also in turns the 3205 was a really good support price point by an institution, and then they will choose either to rebound, to head back up, to get either they get a better price 3205 and rebound to the upside and break through and go all the way to 3240, even 3250. But if not, then they will say, well, 3205 might be stronger than the past, but there's more sellers than anything. We're going to push the price back to the downside. All right, that's MTFA. Okay, looking from a perspective, yes, does a 4-hour daily chart really play a big difference? Not anymore. Because you're just trying to catch the momentum of things, similar to what we did last night. All right, any questions for me?
No questions.
No questions.
Nothing. All right, so we'll wait for the next one, less than 2 minutes, a minute 34 seconds. At this point in time, based on the 5-minute chart, you're in a level supply. Price to beat on the 30 minutes is that high, 32.98, 32.16, but just looking at the price bar alone, the bulls are currently so strong for less than 2 minutes. Then if they will continue to do this, then whatever the report will say, they will break the supply level in order to break new highs. Okay, but the price to beat is this, 32.19, 4 pip difference based on the bid. Likewise, I'm currently on the bid. I'm looking at the bid because of the selling, that if you choose to sell, which price point will be doing it, right? All right, so we'll just wait. 43 seconds. Technically speaking, Spanish unemployment rate, it's medium, but the German IFO business climate will be a much bigger, probably bigger deal at 1 o'clock our time. All right, so 32.18. So if we're just basing on what we analyzed with Jason before, pretty much you're out. You're done, right? You're back to level supply. All right, 1 minute, 10. And voila, boom. Let's see whether if the market will react based on the Spanish reports. So very interesting. So there's really nothing. Doesn't matter what the report says, it's pretty flat. It's not like last night where we had a lot of good reports, and 2 minutes even prior to the news coming out, you'll see, those momentum, a lot of impulsions last night, right? It's like 20 pips out of nowhere, less than pretty much 1 minute, pretty much, or even 10 seconds. You're the spirits of the price. All right, so we'll see what the news dictated. Interesting. So there is a good positive report, 26.3, based on the Spanish unemployment rate. Probably Forex factor, FX Street will be red, probably high impact. But over here is a medium impact. So regardless part of that, they didn't really react to the price. So maybe perhaps it's all factored in based from yesterday. And what they're going to wait is now the German one. Sweet. Any questions for today's session?
No questions. Thanks, Ray.
No worries. So what did you learn today, Jason?
Know your supply and demand levels.
Cool. And
Same. Know your intention of the trade really, and then look at where the prices are.
cool. Angie.
I'm still so confused with the supply and demand, but if we can do this price action trade, that'll be great for tomorrow or something.
Okay. Cool. Andres, what did you learn today?
Exactly what Jason said. You know, like how to way less understanding. You know, my depth of the understanding on supply and demand was completely off.
No
So
worries.
it's good to be aware.
Yes, because it's like your business, right? In your own
Of course.
personal business, you really need to know supply and demand. Which
You
areas
have
that
to.
you part of the demand, which are part of supply, right? So you dictate when if they want you, man, you can increase your price like there's no tomorrow. But if there's a lot of supply out there, a lot of competitors, then you have to reduce your price. So not good business, right? In the trading market, in the trading world, the same. Either you're buying at wholesale or you're buying at retail and selling at retail. If you're buying at retail and selling at retail, bad business.
Sure.
What you need is you need to buy it at wholesale and sell at retail. So method 3, I don't know where you're at the moment in terms of the videos, but method 3, once you get into there, you're pretty much we're getting on a different price point. It's a little bit more expensive. We're getting at retail price, and the retail price is a good entry price, but you're only catching a small portion. In other words, you're buying at retail and selling at retail with that high probability of winning. So that's pretty much the difference. Cool. See, and now the price is trying to come back down. And like I said, the price market can only give you to a certain price point, and then they will decide whether it will continue further or it will fail. All right, guys, you have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow and tomorrow night. Have a
Hey,
good one.
Ray.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see you.